All right, guys, how you guys doing here today? You got Samara Chandler, founder of Pretty Little Ladies Podcast. Today we have a lovely, special guest who is out here doing the work of God and the work of others should be doing. We got Miss Leia Schank, founder of Impact Project. How you doing today, Leah?
Hello. I'm all right. How you doing, sis?
We are doing good. Thank you for coming on here today. Thank you for allowing us to interview, and thank you for all the work and the platform that you make for even ladies like myself.
Yes, that's what's up. Thank you.
So let's get into this interview. So tell us a little bit about yourself, starting with your name.
Yes, Leia Schank is the name. I am the founder of Impact, the creator of Project Take.
Okay.
So community advocate, activist, organizer, humanitarian, all that good stuff.
Okay,
so it's the work, community today. Work, right?
Yes. I even learned some stuff today more about her. So we know that you just had a show. I don't like to call it a show. You just had what would I like to call it?
Summit.
A summit. That's the good word. Sorry, summit.
Yeah.
How did that go? Tell us a little bit about that and what made you put that together.
Yeah, so the summit, it was a human trafficking summit. This is Human Trafficking Awareness Month. That was Human Trafficking Awareness Day.
Okay.
And so that's why we had it on that particular day. But that was to bring awareness to human trafficking, what it is happening in here, right in our backyards, just locally.
Absolutely.
And then also to give like a global perspective of what's happening with trafficking everywhere.
Yes.
Because people have heard that term, but a lot of people don't really know what it means and how much it affects all of us, just our everyday average folks. It's not so much underground anymore. It's not something that only happens at the borders anymore. It affects all of us and our children. So it was to bring awareness. It was a way for people to come to find out what resources are available here. In case they find themselves wrapped up in it, they have somewhere to go.
Okay, I like that. And even I learned something. I'm a mother of 5, single mother of 4. And you brought a lot of awareness to even myself, more things that I would love to do even with my girls group on Wednesdays in Saving Grace. Like I said, I learned a lot from you. Again, I tip my hat to you, Queen. I respect you. I give you flowers while you're here. You are somebody to learn from. And you are a blessing to those who wish, and back in my days, I had an impact around too, instead of trying to do it my way, which wasn't the right way. But we do. We thank you and we salute you. Yes, so, so now, where can they find you? If somebody came to you and a girl needed to talk to a mother, they needed help to find their child, tell us where can they find you?
Yes, so our website is impact or empactorg.com.
Okay.
Phone number 916-801-3890.
Okay.
And then also on all the platforms. So TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, it's Impact, E with an E. So EMPACT. You can find me there. You can Google my name, Leia Schank, and you can find me that way as well. But my phone is always on, so I'm always open for the community to
if you don't mind, can we get that number if somebody needs to call?
Yes, 916-801-3890.
Did you guys get that? Did y'all hear that? Okay, so can you tell us a little bit more and go into a little bit of detail about the line of work, how long you've been doing this, and what made you get into this line of work?
Yeah, so I'm not native to Sacramento, but I've been here about 20 years or so. And so, in being here in Sacramento, my advocacy started way before I got here. So that started as a teenager, and just walking the streets of Los Angeles and being involved that way.
Yes.
And but coming here, really for us, it started with the need.
Yes.
We saw the need. We saw what needed to happen here in Sacramento. We knew what was transpiring here. And there's a lot of organizations. Sacramento is like the number one city for nonprofits. I want to say there's like 2,100 nonprofits just in Sacramento County. It's crazy, right? It's saturated with nonprofits. But there's still so much work that needs to be done. There's still so many empty voids that are not being filled. And so I spent a lot of years here in Sacramento supporting other organizations.
Yes.
Helping everybody else, making everybody else look good.
Yes.
Doing all those sort of things. But I would always leave the event or the community service thinking there's so much more that needed to be done, and so I realized that after a while, like, Leia, just do it yourself.
That's right.
Like, do whatever you need. So way before Impact was created, I was doing the work, just not under my umbrella.
Yes.
So in order for me to have full creative control, I knew I had to get my own branding and start my own organization. That way I can really do what I see that needs to be done out here. And a lot of what's the problem with Sacramento is there's so much division when it comes to like Sacramento City and Sacramento County.
I agree.
So the city of Sacramento has its own base as far as community works and community projects. But then what about if you live in North Highlands or Citrus Heights or Carmichael? People that look like us live in these areas too. Folsom, they're not getting service because they're not in the city of Sacramento.
Wow.
So there was such a bridge that needed to be gapped, if you will.
Yes.
And so I saw that was an issue. If you can't make it to South Sac, then you don't get services.
Wow.
You know, and that's not fair, you know, for lack of a better word. So I saw a great need of a lot of things that needed to take place here in Sacramento.
So if you was to reach out to somebody, if you was to say right now, this is what Impact would need to make Impact better so we could save more lives, what would be that need that you would be asking for, or you would need the community to step up more and do?
Yeah. I mean, the ultimate need is that we get funding.
Yes.
The more funding, the more we can do more.
Yes,
you know, like
absolutely.
Just what we do already is based on no funding.
That's right.
So imagine what we can do if we have funding.
Yes.
And funding is an investment.
Yes.
You know, that
Yes,
is
it
the
is.
city, the county, that's all these people that talk a good game.
Yes.
That's them saying, I'm going to invest in you.
That's
I see
right.
what you're doing. I'm going to invest in you so that you can keep doing it.
Yes.
And that you can do it on a higher and a bigger playing field.
Yes.
You know? And so that's huge. The people don't understand that. They underestimate that part. Funding is big.
Yes.
Showing up, huge.
Yes.
Show up.
Yes.
When you see that something is taking place, show up. You see
Yes.
that there's a need, show up. If you
Yes.
see that I'm putting a call to action out there, show up.
Absolutely.
That's huge. And
Absolutely.
this city has to understand just how big that is. So
Yes.
we definitely need that.
Yes.
The support. I mean, you know, it's support.
Absolutely.
You definitely need that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I got to piggyback on that and agree. Just for those who don't know, like I said, this woman is amazing, you guys. She is the meaning of women empowerment. Being a founder of a nonprofit ourselves, just so the world, y'all know, we cannot do this on our budget all the time. Not with the way we're trying to touch lives, not with the way we're trying to save lives. And again, this woman, in case you don't know, because she ain't going to tell it, so I'm going to tell it for her. She's putting her life on the line every day. She has her own children to go home to. She's not asking for nothing. She's walking these streets. She's not doing this to be seen. She's not doing this to get a like. She's doing this because this is what she believes in and what she do. And I ask people all the time, why does it got to be something tragic got to happen to your family for you to understand, or for you to step in and say, okay, now I want to help? So I just ask, please, guys, don't wait for this to be your daughter or your son or your family member to touch his home to step in because you believe in this. And our kids are not for sale. And women are not for sale. And then again, it's not just little girls, it's little boys. So yes, funders, if you're listening, this is a very, very, very good nonprofit to stand behind, get involved with. She accepts any of it, whether it's you're helping, whether it's finances, whether it's supplies, whatever. But we do need you guys to get behind this. Okay, and so even with that, so what other nonprofits or even organizations do you network with? If you could network with somebody else, who would you like to see step up a little more with you and network with you?
That's a difficult question, just because there's not organizations out here that do what I do.
Exactly, and I would agree.
So and so that's hard because they're not willing to do what we really do. The stuff that we can't talk about, the things that we can't post about on social media, the things that we're not looking to get photo ops about, or you know, having our news clips out there because we're doing the people's work. So that's hard because you can't get people that are willing to really come out here and do this part of it.
Yes.
You know, but everybody has a lane. I understand. This is not for everybody.
Yes.
It's heavy work, and it's not. But there's a lot of people out there that have the experience, that have the capacity to be able to come out and help, and they just don't. Just because there's nothing in it for them, you know, and that's hard. I can tell you that as far as supports go, Daryl Roberts with the Roberts Family Development Center and Tina Roberts, his wife, they have been very supportive of Impact for years now. The Village Advocates of Sacramento, Allegra and Charles Taylor, have always been very supportive of Impact. And there's been other organizations that have been hit or miss, but for the most part, you know, it's very divisive. Yes. It's very divisive here in Sacramento, very much so.
Because, like, again, I got to tip my hat to you because I didn't even I think I even underestimated a little bit what necessarily you do and the risk that you take. I try not to even get choked about it. Like I said, I don't necessarily even do in my nonprofit what you do. I do just a small speck of what you do. I deal with girls mainly with, you know, molestation, physical, you know, sexual abuse. But even with that, I think that is beautiful. That you do that. If you can tell mothers, parents, or just anybody around the world, I learned something at your summit. What is the 5 signs that you feel like as adults, parents, we're missing
Okay. So when it comes to sex trafficking, is what we're
Yes.
talking about. There's always signs.
Okay.
And so a lot of times families and parents, mainly caregivers, they miss those signs.
Okay.
They miss them because they attribute them to other things.
Yes.
And a lot of times as parents, we attribute them to things that help us.
Okay.
Help us to cope or help us to get it through or help us to sleep at night.
That's right.
Whereas we're missing those signs because of that.
Yes.
And so there's always, I talk what you're referring to as in my training, and
Yes.
I talk about the 5 signs.
Yes.
And grooming is number 1.
Okay.
And that most times is a social media, nowadays I should say,
Yes.
is a social media contact.
Okay.
Everything is done on the internet. So
Okay.
all of our children have access to the internet, whether you believe it or not, your child does.
Yes, they
And
do.
so because of that, they're easily acceptable. You know, they have access to so many people. They can have access to somebody across the world that doesn't even live anywhere close to them, but they can be groomed by this person.
Yes.
And so grooming is that. And that is basically like finding out what your needs are, creating a bond with you and grooming them. And then it's meeting your needs.
Okay.
So now that I found out what your needs are, because it always starts with a need.
Yes.
So when you hear a child is missing, a child ran away, and a child is caught up in sex trafficking, that didn't just happen for no reason.
Okay.
It started with a need.
Yes.
And so that predator found out what the need was, then he has to meet that need.
Gotcha.
That is how you gain that trust.
Yes.
You meet that need. Then it's isolation. Isolation is me remove you away from anybody that might weaken the influence that I'm giving you, right?
That's right.
Isolation. Then exploitation. Now I've done all these things for you. Now you got to do something for me. And
Wow.
so that's when you cross over into
Okay.
full-blown exploitation.
Okay.
And then after that, it's maintaining control. So now you've gained full psychological control over this person, and now you just have to maintain that. So from beginning to end, those are the 5 red flag signs that we always let folks know that's what you have to look out for.
Okay. I like that. And that sounds good. So, can you let us know, I know you can't tell too much, but just approximately about how many girls do you think you have saved and changed lives and helped come back home?
For trafficking, oh man.
Because I know it's a lot.
It's a lot. It's a lot. Yeah.
I know you've
it's
done a lot.
Yeah. Last year alone, so 2023, I would easily say close to 60.
Oh my God, this is crazy.
Close to 60. Mm-hmm.
And I learned something else in the summit. This is how much of a profit does this industry makes?
This is $1 billion profit.
Wow.
So this is $1 billion industry.
$1 billion.
And none of us have $1 billion. So you
No.
got to think about the ones that do. And
Okay.
that's what's spearheading this. That's where it's coming from. So we don't have the means to be able to make anything $1 billion business.
That's right.
You know, but
That's right.
collectively we do.
Absolutely.
And so, yeah, when it's $1 billion business, you know, and it's surpassing drug trade,
Yes.
then you know with that,
Yes.
and then this is on a high scale.
Yes.
And so you know that this is becoming something that has taken over our families, our communities. It's taken over.
Absolutely.
Just like in the 80s, how crack took
The
over.
era, yep, the
Like
crack era.
that's what it is now.
Okay.
It's sexual exploitation.
Yes.
It's much easier than selling drugs.
For those who feel like, well, I don't have a daughter, I don't got nothing to worry about. What do you say to mothers like that who have sons?
I say that your sons are a major part of this. I mean, the majority of the traffickers are male.
Okay.
The majority of the sex buyers are male. And the majority of the perpetrators and the predators are male. So for those of you that think I'm so glad I don't have to worry about none of this because I got sons, I ain't got to deal with this problem, these girls, you know, you do have to deal with the problem. Because when you groom your son to believe that all of this is a rite of passage for them and that they have a right to women,
That's
then
right.
you're grooming a sex buyer, you're grooming a trafficker, and you're grooming someone that ultimately will have to be under the limitations of a CO or a prison or jail or psychiatric, you know, mental health. Like you're grooming your son to go into that channel.
Absolutely.
Instead of grooming your son to know that women have autonomy over their bodies and that there should be boundaries and that if a girl says no, it's no, and that no girl is owed to you.
That's
So
right.
whether you want this girl or not, whether you want her to like you back or not, if she doesn't, then that's just what it is.
That's right.
Yeah. So
Now, what will you say also, again, from those who are oblivious and think just because they have sons, their sons' bodies are off limits? What do you speak about stuff like that? Is sex trafficking just for girls or could be for boys and girls?
yeah, males are trafficked as well. There's female traffickers as well.
That's right.
And there's same-sex trafficking, you know. So
Okay.
it definitely has no boundaries. I mean,
Okay.
it's whatever the person's open to. It's whatever, ultimately, it's what the buyer wants. It's
That's
what they
right.
request.
That's right.
And that's what the trafficker is going to have to be able to submit to that buyer because
That's
they're the
right.
ones that have the money.
Yes.
And so, yeah, it happens in all ways. So you got to protect your boys too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do y'all hear that, guys?
Yeah, for
It's just this sickness, this nightmare is just not for young girls. It's for little boys. So those of you who do have sons and you're like, whoo, I ain't got to worry about my daughter being touched because I don't have a daughter. Your son can be sold just as much as your daughter can be sold. So please do not close a blind eye to that as well. What other events do you have coming up? Do you have any more summits, any more projects that you get ready to come up that you could let the people know to get involved with, that people can contact you to show support or get a table? What you got coming up next?
Oh man, we got a lot of stuff we're working on. We're working on a lot of projects. We do things throughout the year.
Okay.
We always highlight all the oppressive systems that we fall under as Black people. So with bullying, domestic violence, with racism, obviously diversity and inclusion, those sort of things. And we have to target all of those. So we always hold summits for that. We also are working on with a Freedom Walk for Juneteenth. That's something that we do each year as well. We have an autism festival that we do every April for Autism Awareness Month.
Oh, I love that.
That's huge as well. Autism. Yes. And so we got a lot. We got a golf tournament that we're working on. We really are the community advocates in every way. So we tackle everything. Women's health is something that's really huge too.
Absolutely.
And after my health, battle last year, it's even more important for me to get women, especially Black women, to understand how important it is to listen to your body, pay attention to your body, and go to the doctor.
I understand.
No matter what you think they're going to say, go to the doctor and just hear it. That way you can catch things early and you can get whatever necessary care you need and you can live. You can live, So many people are not living because they're not going and getting help. They're not going and getting...
I agree.
So... Yeah, gun violence prevention is another huge one. Mental health services is huge. Getting people to understand how important it is to go to therapy, seek therapy, talk to someone. Like we have to normalize that. So we got a lot. We got a lot going on. For
Can
sure.
you scratch the surface a little more as far as the mental health and the people you deal with? I think even sometimes people think just adults can have mental health. Can you speak a little bit with the way you work with all ages of young girls and boys on them having mental health? Because I think even sometimes parents are oblivious of that. When I was young, and I would tell my mom things I would feel, like you said, I learned a lot from you, Queen. I think parents do stuff so they can sleep better at night.
Yep.
And I think a lot of the stuff that I was trying to say to my mom to get the help, she was a single mother of 6 and she needed a way to sleep better at night.
Yeah.
So what would you speak about, just, briefly about mental health, because it's real and it does exist.
Yeah, it does. And we have to normalize that. That fact alone is that it is real.
Yes.
And that everybody suffers from some form of mental health.
Absolutely.
Everybody does.
Especially
so there's no one walking this earth that can just say they're totally fine. They feel nothing, have no anxiety over anything, no fears, no concerns, no nothing.
Yes.
All of us have it. Now there's different levels, there's degrees, right? So some people have mental health issues to where they have to take medication or they have to be hospitalized, right?
Yes.
And then some, it's just every day. Sometimes it's triggered about something.
Yes.
And so all of that matters though. And mental health starts very young.
Yes,
we're seeing toddlers with mental health issues.
Wow, really?
Toddlers. Oh yeah. Yeah, toddlers are having, there's a lot of stress behind what we introduce our kids to nowadays.
I can agree.
That influence is very stressful.
Yes.
When we're putting tablets in our 3-year-old's hand, there's a stress that comes along with that.
Yes.
Because the way TV is now, the way marketing is, the way these TV shows and the movies and the celebrities and all of those things are now, it really puts a burden. It puts a burden on our children. It puts a burden on them to have to look a certain way, talk a certain way, act a certain way, have certain things.
Yes.
So if you don't have the means that you're seeing on TV, you feel like something's wrong with you.
Yes.
Or you don't feel like you really have an adequate life. Because look how they're living right there, though. I want to live like that.
Yes.
And I'm not living that way. Or you look and say, I don't look like that. I want her skin complexion. I want her hair. I want the jewelry she's wearing. I want that body. I want all these things. And so you grow up thinking that you have to become that in order to make it. So you're never happy with yourself.
That's right.
You're never totally fulfilled because you're trying to chase something that's not you. You're trying to chase something that can never be, because the picture perfect image that's put across these screens is not really reality. Okay. And then we don't talk about that enough. The Kardashians of the world, nothing about that is real. Yes. Nothing. The way they came into stardom is not real nor healthy. And the way they live their life is not real nor healthy either.
That's right.
It's all for TV. It's all made up. So it's nothing that any of our children should be looking to as that's the life I want.
Exactly.
It's not. And so we have to really get, especially with our young girls and our boys, like the youngsters, like get them to understand that whatever your life is for you, whatever it is that you desire for you, for one, you can obtain it.
Absolutely.
You can get it.
Absolutely.
Right? And then two, it doesn't have to be like anyone else. That
That's
competitive nature that we're really inflicting upon our kids to always have to keep up with the Joneses.
Yes.
That's causing so much mental health there because you're going to drive yourself crazy trying to be like everybody else.
That's right.
Because you're not them. And they're not you.
They're just going to commit suicide like they're doing.
That too. Or just feeling like you don't even want to be here no more.
Exactly.
If I can't have that and be like that, then I don't even want to live.
Exactly.
And so the suicide rates are going up. The bullying rates are going up.
Oh, my Lord.
And mental health is going up. Because people just don't feel satisfied. They don't feel sustained within them. They don't have the self-confidence that they need to even live and live a good life.
Yes. And
so all of that attributes to mental health. And then there's just the historical, facts when it comes to us with racism and just the way we're treated as Black people. We're not treated well even now. We can't go places without being looked and followed.
Yeah.
We got to worry about driving and having the police get behind us and what happens if they pull us over? That's traumatic.
Yes.
That's traumatic. Being in these stores and being treated the way we're treated, that's traumatic.
Absolutely.
And just having to see our people being slaughtered every day.
Yes.
And beat and brutalized and everything that they're under every day.
Yes.
That's a lot.
Absolutely.
That takes a toll on your mental.
Yes.
To just see that this is what people can do to us and they get away with it.
Yes.
They get away with it,
Yes.
And that's hard. So there's a lot of heaviness on us. And so mental health plays a role in that. Then you got to think about individual choices. We don't always make the best choices. So whether that's with our mate, whether that's with our children, whether that's with a job, whatever it may be, we don't always make the best choices.
I agree.
And so there are repercussions for that too.
Absolutely.
And we have to reap those repercussions. And sometimes that ain't pretty either.
I agree.
So it's difficult for us. It's difficult because it's incarceration, death, or being abused.
Yes.
Like that seems to be
the norm.
The norm for us. That's just what's supposed to happen.
Yep.
And it's not. It's not, sis. It's not.
It really ain't.
We're so much better than that.
Well, I need you guys to hold that thought. We're going to break real quick to go into part 2. Y'all heard it here. We are with Leia Schank. We'll be right back.